Hey, friends, welcome to Leadership Pathway. I'm Dave Miller. I'm the co-founder of Leadership Pathway. We're 8 years old next month, helping church leaders and find and support and develop and keep young leaders in the game of ministry and leadership. It's great to have you. I want to give a quick shout out to Norton Creative. I'll drop that in the show notes. Jonathan Norton and his people. If you need a website, if you need help with social, he'll put your dreams to work and help you get clarity in your vision and all that kind of stuff. And without him, this is not possible. So thank you, Norton Creative. We're in, what is this, number 4 of 7 of the 7 ingredients of leadership development for Gen Z. And we've talked about training and education, spiritual formation, soft skill development, best practices, ownership, developmental conversations. We've done that one. Today, we're going to talk about mental wellness. Welcome my guest, Steph Rowe.
Thanks. Good to be here. As usual.
Steph, we at Saturday Night Live, they have a jacket they put on people when they've hosted 5 times. And maybe I should have sent you a jacket. I think is this the 4th or 5th time?
Is this 5?
This might be 5.
I don't know.
I'd have to go back. We didn't record them in the early days because we were afraid to record things that we said back then. But we've been recording them, and I know we have at least 2. So this is number 3 of that.
All right.
I know you were on here twice before that. So welcome.
All right.
Thank you. I'm on the Stefanie Rowe, StefanieRowe.com website. I'll drop that in the notes.
Jonathan Norton.
Really? Norton Creative.
That's
Double
right.
dipping today, Norton Creative is.
Best in the biz. Mm-hmm.
First thing I was going to bust you on is it says Midwesterner. And so I quickly looked that up, and Nebraska is in the Midwest. I've learned something today. So this is why you should always tune in to Leadership Pathway. Nebraska is in the Midwest. I didn't know that. I thought it was the plains. But the plains are part of the Midwest, is what Wikipedia said.
I'm a proud Midwesterner, as my website reminded you.
Born and raised. Licensed professional counselor, elder at her church, Stonebridge Christian in Omaha, teaching pastor, preacher, mom.
Yeah.
Been married a while.
20 years.
Retired professor.
Back in the business.
You are?
I am.
You're teaching somewhere?
I'm teaching counseling to future counselors at Crown. Sweet little college here in Omaha.
Crown.
It's been a blast.
How about that? Crown College.
Yep.
Based in Minnesota.
That's right. They have a branch in Omaha, in person, that teaches a licensed counseling track. So
how about that? That's cool. Good for you. You
enjoying
it's really
fun. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, all kidding aside, Stefanie Rowe's influence on me personally and on Leadership Pathway. And Stefanie, it's now hundreds of people, hundreds of churches at this point, that it begins with a conversation about mental wellness. And you would think after COVID in the 5 years that everybody would be saying, well, of course this is important. But, all things being equal, no, it's not. It's something we have to lean into and we have to put up front. And so thank you for your influence. I want to throw it to you first. Okay. I know I have my questions in front of me. What I'm going to ask you, what have you been learning the last year on this topic of mental wellness I know you're a church guy like me. So as it applies to leadership in the church, what's something new that you've learned in the last year?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because I think it goes back to some of the teaching that I've been doing. Cool. And, so I've got these incredible college students, some of them non-traditional, some of them traditional college students.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about techniques of counseling. And I've got all the textbook, everything. Like I've read their textbook. I have PowerPoint. I'm very prepared for class. And what they really want to know is, yeah, but how do you do it?
Oh,
What they really want is real life examples of people who are walking what they talk.
mm.
So if I'm saying, we have got to take care of ourselves, we can't be expected to do such an emotionally laborious job, which would be pastoring or counseling, if we don't take care of ourselves. And here are some ways that you can take care of yourself.
Right.
The students go, no, 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 no. How do you do it? What do you do? What does this practically look like in your life? And so anyway, that's been really interesting to me. That, I think this generation is, well, they're smart, and I think they care a lot more. I think they do care that I'm the same person, right? Like in my office as I am in the classroom, as I am at home.
Yeah.
But I think they really want to know that not only do I believe this, but that I do it. That's been new to me. It's been a good challenge.
And then you have to think, is this going to be on the final?
Yeah,
Question
right.
Number 3, how does Steph Rowe do this? I'm curious, the first time you're asked that, though, does it stop? Does it give you pause? Make you stop?
Yeah,
think?
I mean, it's...
Wait, do I do this?
Every class we did, I knew that was going to come up.
Huh.
So as I'm like in the preparation at home, going through the lecture, I think it is not enough just to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
They want to know what this looks like, practically speaking, in the real world. And so really kind of regardless of what we were talking about, I was prepared. That always is surprising to me, to be honest, that people really, really care about you as the provider or you as the leader. But boy, they do. I think more now than ever.
Yeah, you take that into our context over here. So then I think that's true. Authenticity.
Yeah.
This generation can sniff inauthenticity quickly. So
Yes.
You're going to preach a sermon series on being healthy, and yet you send emails every night of the week, super late or all day Saturday morning, right? This is something we're learning.
They can sniff it out, and they've been burned. They have watched so many people say one thing and get busted doing another. That there's, they don't assume the best, so to speak, and with good reason.
Yeah.
A lot of people have let them down.
That's unusual for this generation, you think? Or is it just their response is unusual?
Yeah, I think their response is, well, no, I would say it's expected considering what they've lived through.
Yeah, right. It's good. All right. I think I'm going to drop in the show notes some of Stefanie's stuff that she's written for us, some links to some blogs and other things. In this book that's going to come out September the 9th, we have a date now. We have a due date, and there's a whole chapter. There's a whole chapter on mental. It's sprinkled throughout the book, but a whole chapter. And part of the chapter is on what leaders need to be doing. And I think this has been a slow, gradual move for us. Is that in general, when at Leadership Pathway, helping churches launch residency and launch new leaders, when it goes sideways, I think our coaches would say, generally, not always, right? But generally, when we have an issue, it's the boss. It's the 35-year-old. 55-year-olds they're all talking about legacy, right? They're all into it. The 35-year-olds are rolling their eyes saying, kids these days, why can't they keep up? And those are the people we're coaching, right? So we peek into their lives, and they weren't really developed. They just were jumped in like a lot of us and started swimming. So their workaholism, their daddy issues, these things that they lived out of that maybe weren't the healthiest actually kept them going. I'm very much generalizing, right?
Okay.
But then you peek into their life, like how they behave and what they're doing. And we see patterns of unhealth, right? So to that question, what would you say? 35 years old, if you're gonna develop a young leader in healthy ways to be healthy, you yourself have to be doing these things. What a concept. Give us however many would be on your list, things to pay attention to if you're leading something and you think you're going to pass this on to the next generation. How do you stay healthy?
Yeah, I think we've in some capacity known this as parents, right? I've got a couple of kids too. And they care about what you do, not what you say.
Right.
But what we are learning is that this is really matters also in the workplace and with leadership in general. So yeah, the first thing that I would tell a 35-year-old who wanted to coach a Gen Z would be like, take an inventory of your own life. If you want to produce a healthy leader, are you yourself a healthy person? And I understand. I mean, I get it, right? I'm not asking anybody to be perfect or to have it all together, but I am asking for some really, what I think are pretty basic things, even though I know it's always easier said than done. And Dave, I live it. I know it. But I'm going to say, do you have a personal relationship with Jesus? We know this is the number one thing that starts to slip. Do you have daily discipline?
Yeah.
Do you have a daily dependent relationship with Jesus? Are you talking to him, spending time with him, leaning on him, spending time in Bible study and prayer and worship? And if we're not, which, sounds funny, but is fairly common, then we've got to go back to the basics.
Mm-hmm.
I am not an incredibly sporty person, but the analogy here would be, right, how much time does the big leagues spend on fundamentals?
Right.
I think quite a bit. Yeah. And so we've got to go back to that. Do you want me to keep going?
Yes.
Okay. That would be the first one. The next one I would say is, do you have some friends? Do you have do you have friends out in your life? Like neighbors maybe, or colleagues? I would probably prefer your friends actually maybe be at work, but also not at work. Not have our whole life enveloped there.
Right.
And in order to make friends, sometimes we need to get a hobby. And so I would encourage people, do you have a hobby outside of work? Do you have a way that you can engage with your community that is outside? Like, do you play pickup basketball at lunch? That would be great. Are you on a golf league?
No.
I would love that. Do you go to Top Golf on Tuesdays? Do you stand in your driveway with the neighbors? Just join a CrossFit gym, bike, do something.
Steph, what do you do?
That would be.
What do you do?
I have a couple. Yeah. Now you sound like my students. See, I told you. I joined a gym, a women's only weightlifting gym. It's been a great experience.
Yeah.
Of meeting people that I would have never met, challenging myself physically in ways I would have never done, and getting out into the community that I love. The other thing that I've done in the last couple of years is I got a therapy dog. I got a dog. I trained her. I took classes. I did the testing, and we became a certified therapy dog team she can come to work with me, or I can go to nursing homes with her.
Wow.
I mean, I would say the most surprising part of that process was the incredible people that I met.
Yeah, right.
Like really neat, nice, sometimes quirky.
Yeah.
Just delightful people.
Yeah.
But it also, when I spend my days in a counseling office, I need some hobbies that don't include, depression and anxiety and coping skills.
Right.
I need to get out among people and live and laugh and have fun and set goals and go for them. And that is true for most people in a helping profession.
There's this thing. Okay, let me see if I can. I haven't had this. I'm going to work this out while we're recording. One of my learnings of the last couple of years is that small bit, what little bit I've been involved, I've been paid to go to church since I was 19, right? For the most part. What little bit of for-profit kind of work I've done, I've realized being a part of this company that has grown, it got up to about 80 employees, and then they started hiring culture people and training kinds of people in-house, right? And so I asked enough people that I thought I had enough data. I asked dozens of people for a small business that had good in-house development, leadership development. Couldn't find it, right? Only off-the-shelf products that you could. And so it makes me think that even big church, like 80 employees, that's a church of 8,000 or something, right? That's a lot. That's a big church. There aren't many bigger than that. And so in church world, we basically are working for small business. We're thrown in the deep end. How does small business develop people? It really doesn't. It really doesn't. You're just a lot on your own, and then you meet people at 35 that have come through that system, right? How did they get there? How did they survive? And it is rare. This is convicting. It's really rare. I mean, the things you're talking about, I would say, yeah, I started all these things at 47. The things you're talking about, friends, hobbies, personal relationship with Jesus, that has evidence in my calendar of something. Late 40s, mid to late 40s. It's really admirable when I meet someone in mid 30s that has these things going, right?
They have a huge leg up if they can get these
young leaders into that system.
Yeah. I think the system that you're talking about is just kind of the hustle, right? It's like keep your head above water, hustle through, do a good job, keep your job, and survive. And hopefully change some lives in the process.
Yes. This is why this generation with their authenticity sniffer is really, really good for the mid 30-something year olds and 40-somethings. Because they're not going to stay. They're not going to stay in a system that's not authentic. I think that's a big difference for them. They know they don't have to stay.
Sure.
They're not afraid to quit.
Right.
Which then puts pressure on their bosses, which is where we live. We live up there with their supervisors and their coaches and their bosses scratching their head. They don't understand, why won't she return an email at 7:30 on Friday on her day off, and Saturday morning?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's a job of urgency, and I get that too. Not everything can wait until Monday at 8.
Right.
And there has to kind of be some systems in place to help people navigate that. And, I hope people are getting better at that. I think we are. But as a whole, I think that we have to kind of look in the mirror and say, am I living the way that I'm attempting to lead?
Yeah.
And am I walking the talk? And I think some people are. I think I do see some people that I feel like are like, I can do this, I can do better, I can figure this out, and totally. I'm thrilled for that. Obviously.
I don't mean to paint. I don't mean to paint. It's hard to speak generally about, especially about
it is.
Just about millennials or Gen Z or whatever. It's not 100%.
Generationally speaking, right? It's probably more natural to the younger people.
Yeah, that's right.
To think about this and to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're way more informed. They're way
Yeah.
smarter. They're way smarter. And they've kind of had to be, to your point earlier, what they've come through.
Yeah.
Okay, daily discipline. Daily disciplines around some sort of religious pursuit is what I think I heard you say.
Yeah. Yeah. Relationship.
A personal relationship with Jesus lets us off the hook, I think.
Sure.
Are you reading daily?
Yeah.
Either quiet start or quiet finish, right? Like to your day.
Are you praying? Are you worshiping?
Yeah.
Are you spending time in God's word outside of your sermon prep?
Yeah.
I think these are good things to ask. This is the number one lever we can pull.
Steph, I started reading the Bible 8 years ago. And I started asking clients, church leaders. I'm like, and I would make a joke, right? I'd be like, I'm reading the Bible. It's pretty good. And they're like, yeah. Like, have you ever read it? And they're like, well, of course I've read the Bible. I'm like, no. Did you ever read it? Like, I only through the great majority of my life, I would, January 1st, Genesis 1, right? And by, Genesis 12, it had broken down pretty quickly, I think. And I'm like, have you ever read it cover to cover? And they're like, no. And what that implies is some sort of daily. I asked enough that I stopped asking, but I never did either when I was in ministry. You're so close to holy things. The thought of a daily working that stuff out, I don't know that it was there. Regret.
Yeah.
Daily regret of not doing it.
I think that people often want something maybe a little bit more fancy from me.
I know.
When they ask me, what can church leaders do to stay healthy? I think they sometimes want a little, more pizzazz, but research tells us, and I think personal life, personal testimony, my office would tell me that this is the biggest lever we can pull.
Yeah.
And if you want to get fancy, all the research, the state of the pastors, Gallup, all of this will also tell us that the pastors who are faring best are doing these things.
Okay. Daily discipline, friends, hobbies. Those are 3. What else?
I would probably add to that sleep and exercise.
Okay.
I think some type of that's why if people come to me and they're, I don't know where to start, I tell them, try to find a hobby with other people that moves your body.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty good, we're getting our good bang for our buck on that. It's a sedentary job. And we know that our mental health does better when we are physically active. Now, I won't bore you with all those stats, but they're all out there.
Sure.
And so some type of moving our body, which is probably going to happen outside of work, right? But like, could you potentially pick up pickleball? Would you like to bike? Could you hike? Would you like to walk with the neighbors?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And then, we've got to go to bed. And the number one reason people go to bed. I've learned this. They go to bed. They just don't go to sleep.
Right.
And so, the best sleep I get, my watch will say, you had an excellent night of sleep. And usually that's when I plug my phone in the living room.
Yeah, right.
And then walk myself to bed.
Yeah.
And leave it in the other room. The blue light, the scrolling, the kind of deep dive holes that we start going down at night dramatically affect not just the number of hours that we sleep, but the quality that we sleep.
Right.
Same with exercise.
It's what's funny. These are the things we would tell a 22-year-old, right? But we're actually talking to the 35-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we're talking to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're going to tell the 22-year-old to do it, but we have got to start by doing it ourselves.
That's right.
And to live it. And when I sit in this office and I'm telling somebody, you need to find a hobby, you need to go to bed at night, I can say, I know it's hard.
Yeah. Right.
I know this sounds easy, but that it's actually really tricky when you have 7 a.m. band practice and 8:30 p.m. soccer practice,
Huh.
and you've worked 8 hours in between to figure this out. I actually do get it because I'm trying to live it.
Yeah.
And that changes the way that we lead.
Yeah. I remember asking you once personally, I was like, hey, we were talking about I'm like, there's always 4 or 5 things that I'm thinking about. And I can't remember were exactly this probably. I said, there always seems like there's one. It's like you work on that one and then another one pops up. And I said, why is that? Why is that, Steph?
You mean like one discipline or like, okay, I'm going to,
Yep.
yeah. Well, I think in part it shows our capacity, right? We're actually asking a lot out of people.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. This sounds easier than it is because it's actually pretty hard.
Right.
And so on one hand, we're asking a lot out of people. And sometimes it feels like I can't do it all, which I understand. And then I would say, let's pick a few that we can be really consistent in.
Sure.
But one of them has to be our personal relationship with Jesus. We have to do that. We can't say like, I'm gonna not choose that one. But if I could go to the gym and be around other people and move my body, that might be 1 hour 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I'd like to do better than that.
Right.
But that's not terrible. That's not neglect.
Which comes first for most people? Or is this a very personal, personality driven sort of thing? Which comes first? Do I have a hope of being personally? So we keep saying personal relationship with Jesus, which makes me feel like an evangelical. I got baptized at camp one year, right? And then I started talking about my personal relationship with Jesus. But like a personal relationship that shows up every day and feels more like discipline. Do I have a chance at that if I'm not sleeping, hobbying, friends, exercising, or is that completely dependent on how that individual is wired up?
I think that's a good question. My gut instinct would be that it would be kind of dependent on the person.
Okay.
But I think that like good habits become kind of like a snowball.
Sure.
And so once I start getting into one good habit, then I feel like, all right, hey, this feels pretty good.
Right.
I'm getting up every morning and reading my Bible. I'm reading my Bible during the day or in the afternoon or during nap time or before I go to bed. And I could probably walk a couple times a week.
Yeah.
I could probably even call my neighbor that I think would be a good mentor.
Right.
And she might even walk with me a couple times a week. I think that kind of can become a really powerful and positive snowball in the right direction. Hey, I'm getting more sleep. I feel more rested. I feel like I've got more energy to do these things.
How do you know the difference between just your addictive behavior, picking up new things? You know what I mean? I don't mean to get into like the grad level psychology here, but like the person that just throws themselves into things. Where's the line between those?
I mean, I think that's kind of a personality quirk too, right? There's certain people who kind of have a brain that says all or nothing. And I would say we can be aware of that. We can talk about that and think about that. And then we may need to have a few hobbies where consistency is the goal, not intensity.
That's good.
So I can be consistent in these things and not necessarily always at a 11.
Yeah. In this book,
That's hard. That's harder for some people.
All right. In one of your blog posts, you wrote about taking vacation. You coach or counsel. I don't know the difference. You're counseling or you're coaching leaders that don't take vacation. They have unused vacation. Why is that? What's behind that?
Well, a couple of things. One is that your younger leaders want to take a vacation. And they want to know that it's okay to do it.
That's a great point.
First of all. So when you get out of, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for them. I would also say people need to disconnect. I think it's really healthy for our own brain and body and for the organization.
Yeah.
To find systems and ways to unplug.
Yeah.
And once again, I live in the real world and I have lived this and I know it's hard.
Yeah.
I do. I know it's really hard. And I know it's hard in a people business and in an urgency world.
Yep.
To just and so once again, I think there are some things that we can put in place.
Mm-hmm.
I might go on vacation and completely log out of Slack. I personally don't have my work email on my phone. I could leave and not have access to either of those things. But, if my senior pastor called me, I would pick that phone up.
Yeah, right.
I know he's not going to call me unless it's an emergency.
Right.
Especially if he knows that I'm out. I'm not even going to, if my assistant calls me when I'm on vacation, I know she saw something in my email and she's calling for a good reason.
That's good.
I have some systems in place so that I don't have to obsess. And do you know how often that's happened? Once?
Yeah, right. Turns out everyone's
really,
fine without you, Steph.
A humbling realization, but very true. Most people would be better off figuring that out.
Yeah. I mean, most people I work with, clients, they're friends, first of all. I mean, a lot of these people I've known since my 20s, and they hire us to do something, and we're working with them. It's amazing. My peers, I'm going to say 40-somethings to 50-somethings at this point in my life. Executive pastors, leaders that I highly respect. I mean, I respect their marriages. I respect the way they parent. They're still faithfully doing it. I say all the time, consultants, we're just a bunch of quitters. They're the faithful ones still going. Yet, just this week, a guy's on vacation. He's in Nashville on vacation. He's 2 days this week reached out about work things that were not that critical. It could have waited. We don't.
That's hard.
And if he's reaching out to me, he's reaching out to his team. That's what you're saying. This idea that, I love my job. I love work. Work is my hobby. I've said those kinds of things. I love working. What do you all do for fun? We work. We love it. But when you can't model that to downline younger leaders, you're setting them up for something. That's what you're talking about.
And to be quite honest, you're setting yourself up for something.
Sure.
The statistics, although people might say that and they're okay with it, their stats aren't great.
Yeah, right.
Of that generation, we have 1 in 5 facing an addiction.
Yeah.
Most commonly porn.
Yeah.
We are depressed and anxious and burned out and stressed out and addicted. And yet still kind of have the goal to say, this is the way we're going to do it.
Right.
Well, it's not working.
Right.
And so we've got to figure out a different path first for ourselves and then to model for the people that we lead.
I think there's another unfair advantage if you're 55 years of age, by the way, and you're an executive pastor, which I think, or 54, maybe this guy was 54. Executive pastor. He came of age in an era when working hard was still tethered to a phone that had a cord attached to the wall. He spent all of his 20s. He might have had a beeper by age 27, which is so funny to think. 28. All of those formative years of his life, right? When he took his 2 weeks of vacation, if he left town without a smartphone in his pocket. Yeah. He left town with a stack of books to read or something, maybe, right? It's fascinating to think the unfair advantage if you're 50-something years of age and you're leading young people, which a lot are, the unfair advantage that we had of growing age 20 to 26 when our brains were getting fused, right? We were not inundated continually with this stuff.
Yeah, it's the idea that we are always available is so difficult for our brain. Our brains just were not meant to work that way.
Right.
And so, to have that 24/7. And then I would add to that, and I agree with you, Dave. I didn't have a cell phone until college, and it was a flip phone, right? It had like 20 minutes on it.
Right.
And free nights and weekends by the end of college,
right.
That I was attached to my mother,
Yes.
But I think the other part of that is the scrolling. It's the social media. It's the constant comparison game that our brain tells us. You were talking about how you said, I was reading the Bible and it's actually pretty good. I see a lot of people who say, I took a month off social media and I actually feel better.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think sometimes we really don't realize how much all of that stuff weighs on a young person.
Right.
The stats are there, but because we didn't live it, I think sometimes it's hard to really get a grasp of what that does to a person and to their brain and to their perspective and to their outlook. It's hard. It's really hard.
Well, and so many people going into ministry, right? If you just look at the personality types that get hired and do well in the first year or two, they survive, right? If you're an Enneagram person or a Strengths Gallup person or what, the type of go-getter that interviews well, impresses them, gets that job, and is burning fast, right? There's a common page on our team says, well, one size fits one in this world. One size fits one. We've seen all kinds of people succeed, and we've seen all kinds of people struggle to succeed. But the generality that they all start pretty fast, the ones that want to do it. It's the system that's landed them. They're the go-getter, the visionary, the person that wins their friends with Jesus. People want to be around these people. They interview well. They get hired. That's the most dangerous. That's the most dangerous person because they're looking at their 50-year-old boss most of the time, 40s and 50-year-olds, and modeling themselves after them. They've survived long enough. They can maybe handle it. I don't know.
Yeah. And I would say and I would say if we can harness all that energy and responsibility and achiever and maximizer and woo in a person, if we can harness that really well, and if we can help them steward that with consistency, not just intensity, right? That's what you're talking about. They have those strengths kind of all carry with them an intensity. And if we can help them find consistency over time, and we can help them find a pace that they can sustain over time, and that built by good habits over time, I think that we have some people who are really going to make a kingdom impact over a long period of time and stay in the game and be great leaders.
Yeah, we're already seeing it, I've been on this topic of young staff. I've been on this topic of staff probably 15 years at this point. 8 years leadership pathway, 4 years before that at the school, with college with you. A few years before, the thing that motivated me to go to that school was all that consulting, watching people just destroy themselves. Like the turnover. And it didn't matter if you raised the money and built the building, like who was going to be there to lead. That led to the college experiment for 4 years and now 8 years doing this. And it's like we've seen we're not Barna or Pew Research, but at this point, after a few thousand conversations and stories, you begin to see these patterns. And we're beginning to get louder and louder when someone doesn't just crush the interview. They're a little dialed back. They're not that exciting. They can't jump up on the table with zero preparation at camp and lead the game. But they are the person that will still be there in 6 years building a ministry, because they have with that personality comes this slower, sometimes daily discipline things that's investing in other people and having friends, and they're still there. They're still there building a ministry. It's going to be interesting to see the longest curve as these people are in their 40s and 50s leading these things. What's the tone of these staff going to be? Less driven by just, we call it natural, even though it isn't. I don't think anything's natural here. The naturally gifted kind of guy and girl that can just woo the room. They can just walk in and woo it, and then they wind up leading if they stay in the game, right? What's the longest implication of as that slowly goes away? And the people that are coming through the pipeline are not necessarily just like that, which is interesting to see, I think. It's our little experiment thing.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think I feel defensive of like the gregarious woo leader. Like I would say, I still think that person has so much potential if those skills are stewarded well.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that I think sometimes a quiet, patient, more behind the scenes person has incredible potential, particularly over more years.
Okay, daily disciplines, friends, hobbies, sleep, exercise, vacation days.
Yep.
Seems like if I was leading something, that would be on a scorecard or something.
Okay.
Seems like that would be.
Yeah, I think it would be, I would be asking myself those things. I think I would ask myself about am I in an honest moment? How's my marriage?
Yeah.
Am I showing up for my partner and my family in a way that makes me proud?
Yeah.
Do I need to address some things there? Am I one person at home and another person on stage?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that's the case, then we have got to fix that.
Yeah.
We've got to do different. And so I think I would probably add that to the list too. Am I taking care of first things first? And am I showing up in a way that I'm proud of at home? Do I have capacity to be in my case, the mom and the wife that I want to be? And if the answer to that is no, then what do I need to do? I've got 2 kids and they're getting big now. They're teenagers.
Yeah, they are. I've seen the pictures. You're looking up to them.
Yeah, they're way bigger than me now. And I'm really concerned. I really do. It is really important to me. They see me preaching. Yeah. They hear the things that I'm preaching about.
Yeah.
They take in my sermons and remember them. Am I walking that out in our home?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We've had some opportunities, and we're in the thick of kind of picking a college and a major, and it is really easy for me to kind of say, I don't surrender. Actually, I think I know what's best, God. Yeah. I will take over from here. And that's going to be a pretty big problem when I preached on surrender last month.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Or when my kids go through something hard and I'm like, I think I'm going to step in. The obviously God doesn't know what he's doing here.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So am I walking the talk? Am I caring for my marriage? Am I taking care of my home and my family? I don't want my kids to say, she said one thing up there, but you should have been in our house.
Yeah, right.
That would break my heart.
Yeah.
That would break my heart. And it would break their spirit.
This has been good. I've learned so much from you. It now is, the nice thing about getting old, right? We start saying things like, it's over a decade now. Your
I know.
investment in this, you don't even know. It's not just me personally. But the stuff that I've gleaned from you, I think back to the very first conversations I ever had with you, leaving your office thinking that woman's crazy. What is she talking about? And 12, more than 12 years, really, at this point. Years later,
Yep.
the influence into these churches, the influence into the places where we don't work, but they're reading our stuff. And I hear months later that they started introducing something, and it goes back to personal conversations with you. So thank you for that investment.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being open to that. This is one of those conversations that it's a long game conversation.
Yeah.
These things are really kind of unsexy and time consuming and don't exactly have the pizzazz, but we see the payoff of them over time in a way that you cannot monetize.
Okay. StefanieRowe.com. I don't know if you have any time in your calendar. I'm sure business is up. Good luck booking her.
Yeah.
Getting her for an hour. StefanieRowe.com. I'll drop it in the show notes. Mental wellness, mental health, having a personal health plan for the young leaders. And it starts with some authentic sort of work yourself in daily habits, having friends. What a concept. Hobby, sleep and exercise, taking your vacation days.
Yeah. I'm excited for these leaders that are watching this, Dave. I think these feel like simple things. I know they're actually harder than they sound.
That's right.
But I think they can make a really big difference.
I love it.